Habibi's a number.
Habibis, welcome to Habibis and Numbers, the digital accounting podcast for the Middle East. We are Scope. We help accounting firms and SMEs across the region choose the best cloud-based solutions out there. We're your digital transformation partners. On today's episode, we've got Jeri Williams. She is the UK's most followed accountant on LinkedIn. She's also the owner of Smooth Accounting, which is an accounting firm that operates both in the UK and the UAE. And she's also co-founded the Digital Accountants Club, which is a community of forward-thinking accountants from across the world who are interested in using AI to further their firms. Today's our first ever episode, and we're really excited to be talking to Jeri, who has a lot of really, really cool insights to share with the community, and really hope you look forward to the conversation that we're going to have. Now, this is our first episode, and we're looking to grow our base, so please do like and subscribe if you do enjoy this video, whether it's on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. Jeri, thanks for coming onto the show.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a busy week, but I am loving doing podcasts, and thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm excited.
It's great to have you on. So we've obviously known each other a little while now.
Yes.
From my time back at Xero, back in the UK when we were both there.
Yep.
Since then, you moved to Dubai and moved back to the UK.
Yes.
We'll get into it. But I wanted to go back to your journey earlier on. So when you actually decided to set up Smooth Accounting, what happened there?
So I was working in practice for quite some time. I think it was about 9 or 10 years for a local firm. And I'd kind of worked my way up, kind of trained, studied, qualified as an accountant, became a director there. And after I had my second son, I didn't really want to go back to work. I wanted to have more flexibility around the kids. And I honestly just thought I'll just do some accounts from home. Like that was my thinking. Like, I will just quit my very secure, well-paid job and just go it alone at home, basically. And that's really kind of where Smooth Accounting was born. It started with me just initially on my own, and then grew over time. Now we've got a team in the UK and in the UAE, but yeah, it just kind of has grown steadily, organically over time, and yeah, it's great.
So you talked a bit about kind of the early days there and moving out from practice and setting up on your own. What were those kind of early challenges or wins like? Like, what were the early days like for you?
It was chaos. I look back and I think, I don't know how I did it. Or you just do. Obviously, you do just get on with it. But I think in hindsight, I wasn't very prepared. I did just, so like me, just make a decision, just do it, and kind of hope for the best. I mean, I think the things that went right, I suppose, were that I always had new clients coming through. And the reason for that is because I did so much marketing and so much social media stuff from day one.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into it, yeah. We'll park that for a minute. But I think that's kind of what went right. And I felt like I could kind of handle anything that went wrong, because if you've always got a kind of a pipeline and new clients coming in, like, you pretty much can cope with anything, I think, as a business. But it was just chaos. I mean, I had 2 babies, like 2 and 9 months old, to look after, and launching an accounting firm, like, it just was mental. But whiz forward, and it's like, obviously I'm so glad that I did it. I'm really, really glad, and I don't regret it at all. But I think if I were to do it again, I would be more organised, plan it a bit more, and not just be like, just get myself a computer and off I go, like, kind of,
I kind of know you, and I know you still wing it to some extent a lot.
Yes, 100%.
As do I.
Yeah. I think that's really common, like, for business owners, but you have to have that element of kind of, I'll make it work. If you're a business owner, like, just failure is not an option. So for me, and even still now, like, whatever I've got to do, I'll do it. And that's how I felt back then. And I think it kind of, I think I grew a thicker skin over time with things going wrong. And as they do, when you've got business, stuff goes wrong, right? So it's definitely made me a bit more capable of handling issues and problems that come along.
I can imagine. And at some point, one of the challenges that I'm sure you would have faced is a good problem to have, which is getting a bit too much work and taking that step and deciding to hire someone. How was that decision? Like, how did you come about figuring that one out, and what did you do?
I didn't really make the right choice with that. And again, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But I just hired, I mean, I did make the right choice in some ways because I hired an admin person and she still works for me now. And I do think that's the first person you should hire as admin, personally, if you've got an accounting firm. So I made that choice right. But then I hired someone who didn't really have the skill set I needed because I was just panicking. I was just so busy. I just kind of wanted anyone. I just needed help. And now looking back, I'm like, that wasn't really the right choice. It didn't work out. And I made a few mistakes with hiring, kind of giving people a chance, and they just weren't at the level that I needed. And in hindsight, I would have hired someone more skilled, more experienced that wouldn't have been stressful then once they joined, if you see what I mean. Um, but yeah, it definitely was a pivotal moment when you employ someone because I never thought I would have staff ever. Like that just wasn't on my agenda.
Yeah. And for someone else that might be also going through that same initial decision point of expanding their business and making that first hire, what advice would you give them?
I think be really realistic with people that you interview about what the job is. And I try to do that now, or we've certainly done that for the last few years in Smooth. It's like, it's not easy to work for Smooth. You know, we are quite a high pressure environment because we're a fast growth business. Nothing's staying still. We're forever making changes with tech and everything. So it doesn't suit everybody, you know. And I think some people do want more of a kind of more chilled working environment. Maybe that comes with timesheets and a 9 to 5 and a bums in seats kind of, you know, firm. And that's fine. That suits a lot of people. And we're not like that. So kind of you gotta be honest with people, I think. And if you make it out like it's the best job in the world, but actually realistically there are some things that are going to be challenging, then it sometimes doesn't work out. So I think just being really, really honest. Maybe I'm sometimes a bit too honest when I interview people, but I'd rather them go into the job like eyes wide open and knowing everything. So if you're going to hire someone, I would just say try and be as fair and accurate as possible when you're describing what it is you're looking for. And I wouldn't hire, I'd hire more on kind of work ethic and personality than I would on experience. Or
Makes a lot of sense. So, what possessed you, right, to eventually leave the grey skies and the rain of the UK and make that leap? Was it in 2020, 21?
2022.
2022,
Yeah.
and move to Dubai,
Yes.
of all places, you know, with
Yeah.
its sun and lots of restaurants and
I know, what was I
shopping and everything
thinking?
and beaches. Like,
Yeah.
what possibly made you want to move here?
It was again a very quick decision. We were on holiday with the kids here. We used to bring them here on holiday from time to time. And I've always loved Dubai from like 20 years ago when I used to come here because my best friend lived here. And I used to come and stay with her whenever I could. And I loved it then. It wasn't somewhere I could have moved to then. I mean, I did look into it and try, but it just didn't work out for me. So being on holiday here with the kids, and I just went, we could move here. I never would have done it previously because of my mum. So my mum is on her own and she doesn't fly. So it was a 2-year thing. I'm sure you get one of your questions are going to come to that, but yeah, it was never going to be a permanent thing for that reason. But if that reason wasn't a thing, then I would still be living here.
Yeah, can't blame you. I'm here myself, obviously having made the move shortly afterwards in 2023.
Yes.
Nothing to do with you being here, despite your claims.
You copied me.
That's exactly
I'm sticking
it.
to that. Yeah.
So obviously you decided as well to set up a business here. What drove that decision? And now that you've done it, what are the differences of having a UK firm and a firm in the UAE?
The reason for setting it up, well, initially I had no intention of trading in the UAE at all. I was just going to live here and kind of run my UK firm. Well, I don't so much run it on a day-to-day basis, but I basically was just going to be here having a UK firm, nothing here, and just live here. And then you know what it's like, and Dubai is absolutely the place for this. You just start having conversations with people, and I think within my first week, chatting to some parents at the school, and they're like, "Can you do our accounts? And we've got a UAE company. Can you do it?" And I was like, "Sure." Quick call to the team. By the way, we're doing UAE accounts now, so can you all learn how to do it? And you just get on with it. Like, if you can do UK accounting and tax, you can absolutely do UAE because it's nowhere near as complex, and the skills are absolutely transferable. So it just was word of mouth. People started asking me, and then you take on a client here, a client there, and I thought, okay. Even at that point, I thought, well, maybe we'll just do a few while I'm here, but it just escalated and snowball effect.
Yeah.
And then we started doing company formations quite early on, which was great for us. And then kind of focused more on the company formation side and the tax consultancy advice. So the main thing we were doing was advising people that wanted, business owners in the UK that wanted to leave the UK and move to Dubai. We were advising them on all the tax stuff. So doing all the tax consultancy early on, then setting their company up for them, then relocating them out here, getting their visas and everything, and then naturally doing their accounts and tax as well because we're accountants, so we can. But it just kind of went like that. And even now, it's still, we're adding service lines all the time because we'll do it for one person and other people want it, and it just kind of goes like that. I think the difference between UAE and UK is that it's just so much easier out here. It's just so much easier. Like, I find the UK, and it's just me personally, a real hard slog to grow a business. Obviously, tax is really, really high in the UK, but it's not just that. It's I just feel like here everyone wants to help everyone. There doesn't feel like there's sort of the jealousy stuff that we have in the UK. It does feel like in the UK you can do well as long as you don't tell anyone about it. It's not, whereas here everyone likes to see everybody doing well and wants to help each other. That's just how it feels. And certainly having now started a business here and grown it, it's been so much easier. So much.
I've really found that as well, to be honest. I mean, I've never attempted to run a business in the UK. I've always worked for someone else over there. But certainly when I came here as an entrepreneur, I found when I was just like mingling with other people at coffee shops, co-working spaces, etc., as soon as people find out that you're an entrepreneur, they seem to want to help you. They're like, "Oh, how can we do things together? How can I help you?" Which I found really refreshing. I think there is a really kind of positive buzz.
There is, for sure.
So like, I overuse the word Habibi maybe, but generally there's a lot of Habibis out there.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit.
Just a
I mean,
smidge.
don't know if you've seen. Yeah, I'm quite proud of that. But
I love it.
I've genuinely found that there's lots of people out there that are looking to help you. So I totally get where you're coming from in that respect. Now, it wouldn't be the Digital Accounting Podcast without talking about like tech and the role that that's had to play.
Yes.
I'm fairly sure you guys are almost like a completely digital firm. Would you say so? Like how important is like technology, and let's talk specifically for your accounting firm for now, and we'll get into broader things later.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fundamental. And I felt like it was from day one. I always said like we're a digital firm. That's how I described us from the day I started my business. I don't think it necessarily was hugely then, but I felt like it was, and I wanted it to be. And I just feel like it's absolutely fundamental to everything that we do. And I was talking about this last night, funnily enough, at an event I went to with people, and just this, everyone talking about tech. And it's just like, I learned so much, and people were like asking me about my accountancy business and how I do, what tech I use and all this kind of stuff. And I was saying like, I'm trying to get leaner with staff. I've actually reduced my headcount quite a bit whilst my business is growing. And for me, it's not about replacing people necessarily. And it's not that I want to replace people with tech. I just want to give my staff as much time as possible to focus on client relationships. And all the while they're doing manual stuff they don't need to be doing, they can't. So it's about, for me, tech is like something that you need anyway, because you need it on a day-to-day basis just to function. But I think now in this kind of AI age we're coming into, it's just so important, and I think it's just gonna change everything.
And yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I really think it's an important point that you made there about like tech not necessarily being there to replace humans.
No.
Although there is something to say about, I've heard Will Farnell make a quote recently. I think it was when we were doing Accounting Refigured over in Cyprus, which is our kind of digital accounting event that we run in Dubai and in Cyprus. And Will was one of the keynote speakers there, and he said, "If you act like robots, you'll be replaced by them," which I think is a really kind of
That's
nice way to
great.
put it.
Will's great. And yeah, I love that saying. And I think it's true. I think I see us moving towards more of a management structure as a firm and with AI. So yeah, it's not about, obviously, in one hand, I've said that I'm kind of reduced our headcount over time, but it's more because if people organically leave, we don't necessarily need to replace them. And you don't default to, well, they've gone. It happened to us last year. One of our juniors left, and straight away the team are like, right, so in terms of recruitment, then like job description, da, da, da. And I like went, whoa, why? I'd rather spend what we were spending on his salary on software, and we didn't replace him, and we haven't, and we don't need to. So and they were like, okay, fine. And I was like, if we get this, it will do this bit of what he's doing. If we get this, it will help the whole team with these that, like, do you see what I mean? So it was just, I just don't default now to humans. I default to like, what's the best way? And it's not necessarily hiring more staff. And when we are hiring staff, we're recruiting at the moment, but that's because we're looking for like client managers and that kind of thing. But I just think that's how we're using tech and my focus on it massively.
Wow. Yeah, and I don't think you're alone out there. I think there's been a real movement towards using tech more. I would say probably the UK is using a little bit more than what I've seen in the UAE so far. Probably due to, I think, access to lower cost labor out here. So the manual tasks are being still done by people that are manually doing them, right? But it costs them less to go through that pain. It doesn't take away from the fact that it's not efficient. It's not necessarily as accurate, and it's not the best. It's not the best use of people's time as well, and it's not also the not most fulfilling job. So if you want to keep the best people, having them doing manual work is, at least what I'm hearing from firms, is very difficult to keep good people doing kind of menial tasks like that.
Yeah, like I was chatting to a man last night at this event, and he said he's got one of his business got like 400 staff, and he's got one person in accounts. And he said, I did have a team of like 12 doing accounts payable and receivable. He went and we deployed them elsewhere in the business and said, find out a way to automate everything that you're doing. So we just moved them to a different part of the business, and they automated everything that they were doing. And like, I mean, there was much more to the conversation, and I'm sure I haven't remembered it exactly, like word for word. But, I'm just talking to him like, it's just amazing what can be done, and I think it's just people have a better use of their time. And we are the type of firm that's very kind of pride ourselves on really being kind of hand holding with our clients, A-class service. How do you deliver that if your team are too busy, clicking buttons here, there, and everywhere? Like, it's not possible, I think. So I'm just forever looking at ways to automate stuff that we can automate, and make sure that they can then spend more time with clients.
Okay, so you've clearly, like, tech has been at the heart of everything that you guys do, and it's been a significant contributor to your success so far. What would you say, and you're allowed to name drop, what would you say some of the most fundamental tools that have been the biggest help to you over the years have
Wow.
been?
Don't want to annoy anyone. Okay, so definitely GoProposal is a big one for us, which is our proposal software. We've been using it for years and years, and we use it in both countries, both companies. That has enabled us to streamline the prospecting process. So from sending the quotes, getting them signed, getting our engagement letter signed, our terms and conditions, everything automated. So that was very early on. Xero for us, we are a Xero only practice, and we have been for many years. And I think we just love Xero, and all our clients use it, and we use it as well. I'm trying to think there's so many. There's literally so many. I mean, there's new ones coming through now. So like I'm loving Copilot at the moment, Microsoft Copilot, and we've only started using that really recently. But now I'm like, I don't have to write an email like ever again. And I'm like, I have no shame about this, because if you're getting an email from me, like Copilot wrote it, like just throwing that out there, it was not me. Unless it's a thumbs up or an emoji, then I might have sent that. But like, it's just blowing my mind now that instead of me sending a kind of, this is how much it'll be or something, say, just for example, Copilot's like, oh, hi, so-and-so, hope you had a nice weekend. Really lovely to hear from you. If you want us to look after it for you, this is what we would charge. If you've got any more questions, like at the click of a button, you're getting a full, proper written email that sounds loads better than if I'd written it. So like stuff like that. We recently started using HubSpot. That was very random. I don't know HubSpot as a company, and I don't know anyone there. It wasn't like that. It was actually set up by one of the managers last year, and we never really started using it properly. But I've kind of taken it on as a mini project in the last few months, and now we're still nowhere near where we need to be with HubSpot, but now it's completely transformed the way that people are getting in touch with us and how we're managing our pipeline. So that's a game changer, because we've automated so much of it. I could just go on and on and on. Like, we use so much, and obviously you guys at Scope look after our all of our Xero stuff in the UAE, which is great, because if we ever have any issues with that, we can just be like, guys, what's going on and what are we doing? And it's nice to have someone else that can help us. But there's so many. There's a whole big list. I could go on and on and on. I just think you have to not be static with it. Like, you need to, if something comes out, I'm interested to see if it can help us. And you need to be careful not to do the magpie thing where it's like, oh, shiny new bit of software, let's have it, because that can really happen with everything. And I have been guilty of that in the past. And now I'm like, right, if it's solving a problem, great, I'm interested. If it's not, we don't need it.
And this is it. And there is a overwhelming amount of choice out there, right? Which is kind of why we ended up coming into existence as Scope, because we realized that lots of firms just frankly don't have the time to keep on top of all the latest and greatest, right? So it's important to be, I think, tech curious, but it's almost like stick to what you what you do best.
Yeah.
And sometimes, even experts need experts, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of what we do. And I'd like to think that we're able to help lots of firms improve their digital workflows. Now, in terms of tools that you wish existed, is there anything that you kind of say, oh, if only someone could solve for that, what would it be?
I don't want to give it away, because what if it's like an amazing idea and I could make millions off of it if I did it myself? So I'm copywriting this, by the way, or whatever it is, whatever the word is. I think, like, for me, I wish in the accounting world there was a pipeline, like a CRM, basically, like a HubSpot, but just for accountants, that also did the proposals like GoProposal does, like that kind of level of functionality that then linked in with your practice management software. So for me, having HubSpot's great, but I also have GoProposal and I also have Carbon. I love all three of these. HubSpot is not accounting specific, but it's great. So to have something accounting specific on that level that can have, I mean, I don't need 90% of what HubSpot does, right? So even if an accounting specific one that did 10% of what HubSpot does would be amazing, but also to be able to do proposals like GoProposal can, and then to be able to just sync it straight into Carbon. We can sync it from HubSpot and from GoProposal, right? So we've got the link set up, but it's having those three products, one of which is not even accounting specific.
It's very difficult to find that one all-encompassing solution, like a that's going to be the best of breed across all the areas, which is why, like, I think Xero has been so successful over the years, insofar as it's probably got the best ecosystem of like third-party apps that integrate with it, including the likes of HubSpot. And even if there isn't like an official one, there's almost like another way around it, whether using Zapier or anything else like that. There's quite a few ways of achieving what you're looking for. having said that, there's still always going to be gaps, and people often do prefer to have one tool that will do everything. But ultimately, I think what ends up driving a lot of people's decision making is, this is like a non-negotiable for me. I need to have the best in this space, and I don't really want to compromise. So
Yes.
sometimes if you don't have the integration, you end up having a little bit of manual work or some duplication, right? There's almost no getting away from it to some extent.
Yep.
But it would be ideal if we had the best of breed across the board.
Yes.
I think the reality is that there's always some kind of compromise to be had.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like the fact that they are separate softwares is a compromise straight away. You know, I don't want there to be any duplication of data. So for me, now that we've got our HubSpot form set up so well and that's all working and flowing, and based on what's said and answered to kind of defaults what happens next,
Yeah.
I think, you know, once someone has filled in one of our forms, no one should have to ever duplicate any of that. And at the moment, and for the last 8 years since I've had my practice, we have been doing that. We're getting closer to not having to do it, but we're not there 100% because, yes, okay, you can use Zapier and things like that to link it, but there's different stages in the journey. So we're not 100% there yet. We're closer. We're loads closer to than where we were before. But I think the duplication of data really bothers me. Like, it really bothers me. I'm like, no one should be doing it again. You know, but what normally happens and what's happened in our firm is you've got an admin person that's like, right, yeah, new person, let's set them up on a system kind of thing. Let's put in all the information from different so we've got kind of like all the stuff on HubSpot, and then we've got like their ID that they're giving us, and then we've got their proposal and so yeah.
Yeah. And we can go on and on about the tech and all the different apps out there. We won't, because we've only got so much time. I want to get into some other things.
Okay.
Just one, very briefly, like one last bit of advice for any firms out there that aren't really embracing the tech to the extent that they should. What would you say?
I'd say that you really, really can't ignore it. You absolutely can't bury your head in the sand. This is going to develop at an alarming rate. And if you do not get on board with AI and technology, other firms are going to, and you're just going to get left behind. Okay. So it's in your interest and your business's interest. So for the longevity of your business, I would say that you absolutely need to get clued up on this stuff. And I just think you don't necessarily need software for the sake of software. You need your process to be right first and then get your software. Because this is what happens all the time is people will get a piece of software thinking it will solve a problem. But if your process is rubbish, the software is not going to solve that. You're just digitalizing it. So having a spreadsheet is fine if you can see this step, and it all works, and that's exactly how you want it to be, and it's working fine on a spreadsheet or however you're doing it manually, then you can get software because you know that your process works. But what happens all the time is people just go, oh, I'll just get this software and then it'll all be better. It's like, no, because you're still doing it in a rubbish way. Like it's always not going to make that stop. So yeah, I would just say get your processes nailed down first and then find software that can stop it being manual, basically.
Great. Yeah. And you mentioned AI there, and we'll get back into that in a few moments. I wanted to switch topics briefly and talk about your LinkedIn fame, because I've started to get this a little bit, and I'm nowhere near your level. Like, I think I've got 1/10 of your followers at the moment. However, even I've started to notice, since I've started posting regularly on LinkedIn in the last 18 months, that people will randomly recognize you.
Mhm.
And there's just that people stopping you in the street kind of thing, but also there is the kind of attention that you get online, both positive in terms of leads for the business, but also there's some negative.
Yeah.
What's your experience been like? Firstly, like, was it intentional for you to become an influencer?
No, it was never intentional for me to build a personal brand. It was always intentional for me to use social media to grow my businesses. And I just always thought if I just keep showing up, more and more people will know about me. And if more people know about me, they'll use my business, use my services, and my business will grow. And because it had happened so much like in the early days on Facebook, LinkedIn, I had a LinkedIn account and I deleted it because I just got fed up. I thought it was very spammy. So I deleted it for years. It was actually a friend of mine that said, Jeri, come on, you really need to get on LinkedIn. It's so good. And I was like, no, I had it before and I just don't like it. And she kept on at me. So eventually I went, okay, fine. So I just started a new account maybe like 5 years ago. I don't know when it was, maybe five or 6 years ago, and started posting, and it kind of just went from there. But I think I didn't realize, I guess, how polarizing stuff can be on LinkedIn, because when I would post stuff, I would think, well, it's not controversial at all. Like I would post stuff not thinking people would get annoyed or disagree or anything. And then they would. And I'd be like, why? Like, it's just the most boring, mundane thing, like in my head. But I realize over time that that's just what it's like on LinkedIn. It doesn't matter what you say. You could say the sky's blue. People will argue. Like, it doesn't matter what you say. So for that reason, you may as well just say whatever, because you're never going to keep everyone happy anyway.
That's an interesting point. And I'm sure some people that don't know you, like I do, think that you're intentionally trying to cause controversy. Are you?
No, I'm not intentionally trying to cause controversy. I don't think I ever have done that. I think that I know the things that will get more attention than others. And I guess I'm more clued up on that now. But if you think about it, actually, the more controversial posts that I've had were years ago when I had much less followers, much, much less. So, when I had 5,000, 10,000 followers, that's when my posts used to go, like, people used to go lose their minds about stuff I would say or post. And I think I always used to think, like, I didn't really go onto LinkedIn to try and get business, because I was getting business from other social media platforms. So I didn't take it very seriously. I kind of found it quite fun. And I was like, oh, it's just a fun place to be. And for that reason, I was so relaxed and I was not bothered at all. I didn't care back then what anyone thought. Like, I was like, well, I don't care about LinkedIn. I've got my pipelines coming from elsewhere. Then I started to get a lot of business from LinkedIn and realized that actually this is the best place to be for business, right? And it just clicked. So it didn't change how I was being. But I think as my following grew, I stopped being 100% myself. So I definitely don't post now things I would have posted before. And it wasn't that I was trying to be controversial, but I'm just aware now that not everyone's going to agree. So I can't be bothered with the ag that comes with it. So most of the time, 90% of the time, I don't kind of say what I think or post what I think. I just post. It's still what I think, but I don't take it that far, if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe an element of being diplomatic to some extent.
Exactly
And
that.
I get that because it can be exhausting, I imagine, having a lot to deal with. And one thing that I remember seeing recently on your feed was you actually received your first ever physical hate mail.
Yes.
I mean, that's shocking. And I think for lots
It
of
is.
people, it would be very alarming. How did it make you feel seeing that?
I mean, firstly, it is just wild that someone would do that based off of my LinkedIn. But I think I wouldn't normally get post. It all happened a bit randomly. I don't often go in the office and stuff. I just happened to be there and happened to see it. I was in the middle of calls. I kind of, obviously I saw it and thought, well, that is alarming, like you say, but I was very, very busy that day. And I was trying to like reply to emails and I was on calls and I was just, what it's like, business owner life. I was busy, saw it, was like, what on earth? And then took a photo of it, sent it to my husband, put it on LinkedIn because I thought, well, that's people will like not love it, but it will be, my followers will go up if I post it, right? So I posted it on LinkedIn, carried on with what I was doing, and then I saw all of the responses on LinkedIn, which just had me like hysterically laughing, some of them, because people are very witty and like sarcastic. So I was just laughing. And my husband had sent me some really funny messages. And I think, but at that point, I was laughing so much and it was so crazy to me that someone would do it that it didn't bother me. And I think maybe if I hadn't been in that situation, say if I was not in such a busy day or hadn't had the funny responses and stuff, I maybe would have got a bit upset. But like I genuinely didn't. Like even to this day, I still find it's so past anything my brain can comprehend that someone would do that and actually write out an envelope and pay for a stamp and post it, right? That you just have to take pity on that kind of person, because it's just wild. I can't explain it any other way.
It does feel like a very strange thing for someone to do.
Yeah.
My approach in general is, if I see something I don't like, it's just to keep scrolling, rather than like go out of my way to make others feel bad. I mean, there's certain things in the world that I wouldn't ignore, like lots of the stuff that's happening in this region, not specifically Dubai. Won't get into that, but there are things that you can't just scroll away from, and some things, like I think not liking an individual and how their demeanor on social media, that's not worthy of writing a letter. Write a letter to your MP instead about something more meaningful, maybe.
Yeah,
rather
exactly.
than wasting your time on that. That's
Exactly.
my advice to whoever is out there that ended up doing that.
Yeah. And people said to me, like, who do you think it's from? And I thought, it's really funny because sometimes you can have an inkling, I think, as in, I've had a couple of 1-star Google reviews that are fake, and you think, oh, it might be a disgruntled person or someone who's got annoyed recently and stuff like that. And I'm like, I genuinely have no idea who has sent that letter. Because I don't think I would ever be aware of anyone that is that way inclined that would do that. So I've got no clue who did it, and it's just a shame. I think that you can be that bothered by somebody else. I'm so unaware of what anyone's doing, genuinely, to the point that the amount of people that say to me, like, oh, you know so-and-so, or you know so-and-so's company, or da-da-da, and I go, genuinely no. I'm terrible. And I should know. I should know who some companies are and who some people are, but I'm just so focused on what I'm doing that it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what people are doing. I could not care less what anyone else is doing, genuinely. So for that reason, I kind of think my brain doesn't understand that someone would care that much about what I post on LinkedIn, which isn't even that controversial. Crazy.
Despite that, and given the positives that you've had from posting on social media, would you recommend for someone else to do something if they wanted to grow their accounting firm?
Yeah, definitely. It's been life-changing for me. Everything that has happened in terms of my business growth, moving to Dubai, setting up a UAE firm, the life that I live now with my family, being able to look after my mum, just everything that my life is, I can pretty much put down to LinkedIn. Maybe it would have happened anyway. But the success, some of the speeches that I've done and events I've been invited to, and, sponsorship that I've had, stuff like that. I look back at all these things and I think it's all LinkedIn. It's all because of the effort I put in. So if you're willing to put that effort in and be consistent, it 100% will pay off.
I'm sure it will. And I think you'll probably become more of a marketer than you have an accountant these days, right?
Have.
Yeah. But hey, that's the life of a business owner. Marketing is really important, and don't downplay it, I would say. Right. You also co-founded the Digital Accountants Club. What's that all about?
So Sam, who is the group ops manager for Smooth and Smooth Dubai, is very interested in tech, good at tech, and implements all of the tech that we have at Smooth. So him and I made a decision that we would start a membership where all this stuff that we're doing and all this research we're doing and learning, we would share with the accounting community. So that's basically what it is. Digital Accountants Club is a monthly membership. People pay a fee to be part of our community. They get access to monthly webinars, software demos, discounts, official CPD, part of our private community where everyone's kind of helping each other. We do live Q&As. We did one yesterday. Live Q&As every month where everyone's chatting about different ways they're using tech, and it's just so amazing to hear what everyone's doing. But that's what it is basically in a nutshell, just kind of bringing everyone together in the accounting space that wants to learn about AI and tech and how they can use it. We just saw a bit of a gap and thought this would be a good opportunity to help other practice owners.
Yeah, and I think the response so far seems to have been really good to that. Now, we are going to be running out of time soon, so we're going to get into our little wrap-up bit. But I wanted to ask you one more question on the AI piece. What do you see like the firm of the future looking, AI-powered firm of the future in like next 5 to 10 years?
I think it's going to look very, very different to how it looks now, quicker than we think. And I think that there will be more management teams and everything else will be automated. So rather than having the normal kind of hierarchy that most practices have, I don't think that we'll end up in that situation. We'll just have the kind of client-facing humans and managers. And yeah, I think that will be it.
Exciting.
Yes.
See. Okay. Some quick fire questions is how we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
Favorite accounting or tech tool?
Well, okay. GoProposal.
Okay. Other than me, your dream podcast guest.
Oh, my dream podcast guest. Oh, gosh. I already interviewed him. Gary Turner, co-founder of Xero. Yeah.
Solid shout.
So solid.
I've worked with Gary for a few years and great guy.
He is such a great guy.
The best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Work hard and be nice to people.
Can't argue with that, really, can you? No brainer.
Yeah.
Okay. Dubai chocolate or Cadbury's?
Oh, what, the one that we had today?
Sure.
Okay. Cadbury's. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I probably won't get that sponsorship deal now.
No. We will change our minds if you get the sponsorship deal.
Yeah. And final bit of advice for accountants that need to embrace digital change.
I would say be open-minded and invest time and money in either learning about tech or implementing tech.
Where can people follow you, Jeri?
LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. LinkedIn is just me, Jeri Williams. Instagram is the Dubai Accountant. TikTok is, I think, the same, Jeri, the Dubai Accountant. And yeah, that's it really.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there.
Yeah.
But it's been really good talking to you and learning more about your whole journey. Hopefully it's been helpful for someone. Pleasure having you, Jeri.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be showing up on more podcasts in the future.
Definitely.
Thank you for tuning in to Habibis and Numbers. We really hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you did, please make sure you like and subscribe or follow, depending on what platform you're on. It helps our channel out more than you can imagine. It also means that others out there can benefit from this episode just like you have, hopefully. Now, if your firm needs help with digital transformation, maybe you need the best cloud-based solutions to help you optimize your business, then please feel free to reach out to either me directly. You can find me on LinkedIn and Ayman Kauri. I'm relatively active. You'll see lots of the words Habibi flown around. Now, otherwise, if you want to reach out to our team, you can also find us at scopesolutions.me and just fill out the contact form there and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Okay, stay tuned, Habibis, for the next episode. Bye now.
Habibis and numbers.